What if your connection to the spirit world was closer than you think? What if your unique way of seeing the world is the key to connecting the two worlds? Welcome to a Sanctuary for the Soul podcast. Join us as we delve into the heart of spiritual development, from the practical guidance and mediumship to the best way to live a heart-based life.
We are here to facilitate healing, awaken your intuition, and help you navigate your path with confidence. Speaking from our own deep journeys, we've learned to experience the world and the spirit world with a unique sensitivity. This is our space to share that perspective with you. Let's explore the connection together.
Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Hi, Andy. I'm very well. How are you?
I am not too bad. Yes, let me just adjust my microphone. There we go. Looks more studio-fied. What's happening? What's new?
Been working a lot.
No surprise?
No. But I've been thinking actually
Have you?
about something quite radical for me. And
Uh-oh.
I was thinking I'm going to take 2 weeks off at Easter.
Wow.
I know.
Blimey.
I'm actually going to do that. I haven't really done that for a long time. So, yeah.
What's the thinking behind that?
Mainly because I've been working consistently all the time, constantly for
Yeah.
probably 3 years.
3 years.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I've had
Wow.
time off,
Mm.
but I've not had 2 whole weeks off for, well, I don't think you have you?
Yeah, I think probably the last time I had 2 weeks off would have been last May when I went to the States, and then probably the one before.
Okay.
So, yeah, but I mean, I was,
Working.
yeah, that was not 2 weeks rest. That was probably working harder than ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't remember the last time I took 2 weeks off in a row.
No.
Probably not in the last 25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a fair while. Yeah, I don't know, because it always seems like if you only get like 4 or 5 weeks leave, to take 2 weeks in one go always felt like that was being really, really, really extravagant. I mean, a week seemed
Yeah.
like, that was like the thing when, oh, I'm going to have a week off, a whole week off.
Well,
And
and that's the thing, I think, for me being self-employed, there's been
yeah,
just this constant drive. And I feel like I've actually arrived at a point I've always wanted to be at. So I thought, rather than burn out, I have 2 weeks off.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, if you look after yourself, then you're in a better place to look after other people, aren't you? Especially, you're in a job whereby, people are coming to you for clarity or insight or help or healing or just guidance in some way. And I guess if you aren't able to put into action advice that you would give them if they were in
Yeah.
the same position, then you're not kind of following your own advice, are you?
No.
And
I
so I'm
think that, sorry, Andy, I
no,
think
no,
that
please.
it ties in nicely with what we were going to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. And, so the kind of the subject really and what we want to discuss, in this episode is healing
Mhm.
and a lovely event that we've got coming up in September. So it's just over 6 months, just
Yeah.
over 6 months time. So should we maybe start with giving like the dates and like where it is and then talk about what we're doing?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So, um, it's going to start on the 14th of September.
Mm.
So it's going to be around about 3, 4 o'clock. Once we've got there, get the kettle on, have some teas and coffees.
Mm.
And it then runs all day the 15th, all day on the 16th. And we finish at lunchtime on the 17th. So it's a Monday afternoon start. and a Thursday lunchtime finish. And it
Mm.
is going to be at a place called the Chapel at Tywyn on the coast of Mid Wales. We were there last September, weren't we?
Yeah.
And we had the most wonderful, wonderful time there with a great group of, students and friends. And we had the wonderful Alexis doing the food.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
fantastic.
something
Yeah.
else, and doing her kirtan and the cacao ceremony. So
Yeah, it was
that
beautiful.
and singing. Oh my goodness,
Mm.
you just kind of forget just how talented that lady is.
She really is.
Yeah, she really is, and just really bloody nice as well.
Yeah, she
So yeah,
is.
yeah, she's a
Yeah.
good egg. And so the title of
Mm.
the course or the retreat, it's a retreat, not a course,
Yeah.
is the path of the healer.
Mm.
And where should we go from there?
Well, I think maybe just why we run it as we do, um, it's that opportunity to be around like-minded people,
Yeah, yeah,
and continue deepening your own practices as a healer. But it's that opportunity, isn't it, where with like-minded people and you can actually get your own clarity at the same time, actually, because how often, particularly in my work and yours as well, we're often holding space for other people. We're,
yeah.
working always to help them enhance their lives in some way. And how often do, us as healers, that concept, how often do we actually have time to gain clarity for ourselves? And I think that's what we're creating is, yeah, that opportunity to
Mm.
deepen your own knowledge and insight with like-minded people, but actually get more clarity for yourself. And maybe, I think as well, as healers, we're always looking, well, we should be always looking inwards and reflecting on, what can I do to continue my own, um, self-improvement or awareness. So, yeah. So
We've
we're operating on two things, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, you said something though that I kind of want to just pick up on. You said
Mm,
what we should be doing is looking, having that inner self reflection about areas that we can improve on and
mm,
understand better. I would challenge the majority of healers or mediums in that I suspect probably more than 80% are only interested in looking for techniques to learn rather than inner exploration and looking at, what is our mindset? Um, what is, what fears do I have? And could the removal of those fears
mm.
assist me or enhance my ability to make a connection that is more open or more loving or more grounded and more understanding of maybe the people that are going to come to us. And
Yeah.
often it can be about learn this technique, learn that technique, get a certificate for this and a certificate for
Mm,
something else. And and what it does is it like papers over the cracks of the fundamental aspect of who you are as a person. And I think what we do, I mean, I know, what I'm saying is kind of like on behalf of us, but what what we do is we look at the techniques that can make us better from a technical point of view.
mm,
But I think we're very mindful, and certainly you are, very mindful of how can we move forward as just emotional, loving people, where it will benefit our
mm.
day-to-day life, as well as, let's say, the, spiritual or mediumistic or healing aspects of our life. I think the two go hand in hand. Do you think?
Definitely. Yeah, well, it comes back to that idea of becoming the hollow bone, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. I mean, you know, Frank Foolscrow, who
Mm,
is, where I got the kind of the phrase of being the hollow bone is what he used, and what he said that he needed to become to allow, a greater, clearer, purer, less judgmental, just all round better
mm.
facilitator, better medium, better, whatever you want to call it, for the people that he works with. And I think that inner exploration and kind of looking at the stuff that you want on some level to keep hidden. So part of you
Yeah,
says, let's hide it away so someone doesn't see the real me, because the real me is maybe something we feel ashamed of or
yeah.
scared of or unaware of. I mean, there's some
Mm,
people just unaware of what's actually happening inside them. They're just like on this track of, I must keep going forward, but sometimes you got to stop and you just got to kind of stand in front of the mirror and go, right, what do I see? What do I see? And then what do I really see?
mm.
Um, so
And
yeah,
that,
Frank was sorry.
yeah, and that opportunity is much easier, isn't it, when you come away from maybe your day-to-day life?
I think so. The the opportunity to be with people that are like you,
Mm,
it seems on the face of it that that should be really easy. You just
mm.
book on a retreat, or you go to a place of learning, and there they are. But it depends on the way in which the information is shared. Depends on the mindset and the energy and the presence of the people running it.
Definitely.
And it depends on whether we're open to change and whether we have a fixed idea of how things should be.
Yeah.
Um, and we won't necessarily fulfill the needs of every person that comes to every course. But what I find is the feedback that we seem to get from people that I've noticed is that they understand and they acknowledge that they get a space that supports them and that doesn't judge them.
Yeah.
They get a space where it is about being loving. It is about understanding that it's okay to not be okay. And let's look for techniques to kind of take you forward, and let's look for ways in which we can say, okay, you're not as maybe where you want to be as far as your development's concerned, but there's things that we can consider. There's mindsets that can maybe change. Maybe there is techniques that need to change, and sometimes someone just needs a little encouragement to just go slightly different in their direction.
Mm,
And I think we offer all of those things, and it is an enjoyable,
mm.
it's a fun, it's a supportive, it's a healthy space in a literal sense, but in
Yeah.
a spiritual sense and an emotional sense. We offer a healthy place where you're seen and you're heard.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. And I think w- that point you made about just having somebody else sometimes just point out even the smallest things can actually
Yeah.
make a really big difference, can't they? Because we can get, particularly being self employed, I know this can happen. I'm so used to doing it my way
Yeah.
and, the same things and you get used to and you have
Mm.
expectations after a while and actually having somebody say, "Oh, have you thought about this?" or "I normally do this," or "Look at this as a different perspective." I just think it's
Yeah.
really healthy as well.
I think I think any person that's truly looking to move forward is should always have one eye on what do they listen to or what do they see that resonates with them on
Mm,
some sort of energetic level where they think, Do you know what? That's a good idea.
Mm.
I like that. And I think we've always got to be open to it and never have that mindset that, well, I've got the formula sorted. I don't need to learn anything else because I know what to do. And I think when we have that open mind, surely it leads us to greater things, because there's some wonderfully wise people out there that might not be running retreats. It might not be their thing, the hassle and the stress of it, but what they bring is unique insight and wisdom. And if you offer them a safe space, they're happy to share.
Yeah.
And so, you know, for people that may be interested, we need to kind of remind you and say, look, you're going to be listened to.
Yeah.
You might bring wisdom to us. Almost certainly you'll bring wisdom to us. And we will listen to you, and we will try to give you the benefit of whatever we can to help you
Mhm.
and take you forward. And in some way, you take us forward.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
what sort of things will we be exploring?
Well, it's just a couple of things. So we'll be looking at, obviously, we're going to be working with the spirit world. Okay. And so as a medium, it's not going to be a surprise that I want to focus on stuff like that. So we'll be looking at how does the process work of getting to know a guide,
Mm.
getting to connect with them and feeling
Such a
their presence.
beautiful experience.
Yeah. Just having that experience of knowing that it may not be that you see them, because there's often an expectation. I need to see the guide because that is the
Mm.
be all and end all, when it's not. When you really feel them, when there's this like warm, fuzzy feeling in your heart and you feel that
Mm.
emotion building within you, I think you start to understand the reality of what does it mean to truly connect on a mediumistic and also a spiritual level. There we really start to understand the truth of what it's like to connect with a guide. Now, it's a simple process. Does it take time? Yes, it does. Of course, everything that's worthwhile takes time. This isn't like Nescafe, where we just pop a spoonful in a mug, add some hot water, a little dash of milk, and then all of a sudden we've got everything we need. Sometimes the good stuff is worth waiting for. But we can start that process with simple, just loving experiences of connecting to the spirit world. And probably the biggest crossover that I see between the work you do, as a practitioner and the mindset and the opinion that I have is that we understand the intrinsic nature of the heart being,
Mm.
it's the opening of our own soul and our own path. But importantly, it's also the way in which we can make that genuine and, dare I say, deeper connection to our spirit guides
Mm.
and to our loved ones.
Yeah.
All right. So even if you kind of think to yourself, to be honest, I'm not interested in, doing a reading for someone and connecting to guides and all that sort of stuff. But you know what? I'd really love to feel the presence of my mum, dad, whoever in the spirit world. And so I'd just like to attune to the energy of those that I still love that aren't here in a
Yeah.
physical way, but they're around me and I sense them. And so it can be for people, that are on that type of path where it's just a personal journey.
Mm.
Um, the the overall theme is going to be about healing, and you're going to speak in a moment about the aspects and the stuff that you feel passionate about. But the wonderful thing about healing is the first person it heals is you.
Mm.
All right, because you're receiving. It's like you're imagine like you're in a river and you walk into this river and the water's flowing very gently and it's very calm. And let's say that you feel the river flowing behind you, And in that is this essence of healing water. And as that water comes to you, it's you it touches first. And then maybe you take a scoop of that water so that you can pass the healing on to someone else. But it's you that gets it first. And so that's the wonderful thing about healing, is that you cannot help but benefit from it.
Mm.
And
Absolutely.
that's just the most wonderful thing. But
Mm.
what do you feel are some of the important things that you want to be sharing with folks?
Um, well, I always like to really bring in that aspect of, where has there been some sort of, I don't know, like loss of sense of power, or you could say loss of sense of worth or power or um, clarity. I
Okay,
think
yeah.
we can easily find ourselves in that sort of place,
Mm,
especially if we're used to doing the same thing day in and day out. So I always like to start with some sort of shamanic practice to, retrieve either insight or
mm,
medicine or power in some way, and working with the heart. What are the blocks to having a fully open and receptive heart?
yeah. So
Because
when you sorry.
that's what, yeah, that's what really helps
Mm.
our connection. That's what
So
really helps our insight. Sorry, Andy.
no, that's okay. So when you talk about the medicine
Mm.
and you talk about the journeys, I'm guessing that when you talk about the journeys, you're talking like a lower world journey
Mm.
with spirit guides and maybe
Yeah.
spirit animal friends.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful experience. Anyone
Mm,
can do it, and
yeah,
I think once you get the confidence with something like that, you realize actually you can go and take yourself into that space to connect at any point to get insight or,
mm,
you know, a reminder of something, or even when there's a big question, maybe even about a client. So you've got a question
yeah,
about a client, or you've got a
okay,
question about something in your own life, going into that very receptive space and connecting with guides or power animals to receive insight, whether it comes through, symbolically, or you actually experience them talking to you, or you get a vision, or, it will be different for everyone. But it's realizing that, that then is there for you at any point. And that shift from always looking outside of yourself for the answers to things to knowing that actually you can take yourself into that state and be receptive to your own knowing and, the energies that support you. I just think that's such a powerful place to be.
So do you think there's then a need to emphasize that in a way what we're doing is we're holding a space for people to actually do the searching themselves rather than
Yeah.
like spoon feeding you?
Yeah. Because that's
Mm,
how we grow, that's how we get
yeah.
confident, that's how we then become able to do more with other people. Yeah.
Hmm. I think there's probably there's a lot of method to that. A lot of the time we kind of want we want like a stamp addressed envelope with
A
the answers in.
protocol.
And we say we need to do this,
Mm,
and we need everything doing so that we can just give me the answer. And sometimes you got to say, well, there's a path.
mm.
Why don't you walk it?
Uh,
Why don't you walk it and see if what's around the corner is something that's going to help you, assist you, take you forward? What if around the corner there are the guides,
uh,
the influences, the opportunities to grow?
mm.
Then you go, well, I don't know whether I like to walk around the corner because I don't know what's there.
Yeah, I know it well.
Yeah, and then you kind of like, well, why don't we just do it together? Why don't we
Mm,
just see what's around the corner and then reflect upon it later?
mm,
So the the theme is obviously the path of the healer, but are there other aspects that we need to touch upon on, just to, kind of let folks know really what,
Mm.
what's going to be involved?
Well, yeah, I suppose the last thing to probably mention is the inclusion of things like compassion practices to, have
Mm. Oh
a
yeah.
really regulated nervous system to strengthen, the sense of being able to hold whatever's happening in our lives. So, that as well is so important as all the connection to the energies and understanding the connection to the spirit world. Actually being able to understand the connection to ourselves is, really important.
Yeah. I suppose then we've got to talk about kind of the other stuff that's going to be involved, during the day. So each morning, once we've all breakfasted
Mm.
and got ourselves sorted, there's going to be like a morning meditation, or
Mm.
where we'll maybe go on a little group journey, and it's not going to be a big group. So you're going to be in a group with maybe no more than about 10-ish people, 10,
Yeah.
12 people. And so the group size, the total size is going to be small. And then we're going to have the opportunity to work, and we're going to be, doing the journeys. We're going to have the treatment couches. So you're going to have practical experience of actually doing the stuff that you want to learn.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll do a trance dem
Yeah.
one
I
of the
think you
nights.
definitely will.
Huh? I think I probably definitely will. And so,
Yeah.
yeah. And maybe there'll be a healing aspect to it. Who knows?
Mm.
We'll have to see where it goes. But
Mm.
I think the the opportunity to be in a really safe space, to be with people that genuinely care about your development,
Yeah.
to be with people that have, certainly in your case, you really have lived the lessons that you're trying to teach people, and I'm not saying that to make out you're, something you're not, but you really have lived those lessons. And so if you want someone that actually does, walk the talk,
Oh,
then in your case, you have been there and done it.
I've learnt on the job, basically.
You,
Yeah.
you really have learned on the job. And,
Mm.
I know from conversations, you've had lots of opportunities to say, right, that's it. I've had enough of that.
Oh, and I
And,
have had those moments.
big time. And,
Mm.
but here you are still going. So what kind of drives you forward, really? What's that message to someone that kind of thinks, I don't know whether I've got the get up and go to keep going? What do you say
I
to that person?
I think no matter what happens, there is always a way through, no matter what happens. And I
Mm,
think also what I would encourage people to be receptive to is
yeah,
that quite often when we start a healing journey or a process, we have an idea of how we want that to be or what we
yeah,
expect or what healing should look like.
mm,
But actually, the more you open to unlimited possibility, sometimes things can be healed or aspects can be overcome in your life in ways you never imagined. So, not limiting yourself to thinking, so I want the situation to be healed in this way, but actually opening yourself up to actually I'm able to be receptive to whatever is possible. And I think that
yeah.
is the mindset to start to have.
So yeah, so rather than being very specific about how you want it to occur, you just
Yes.
maybe throwing it out to the universe in a way and
Mm.
saying, I would like the healing experience for
Mm.
this.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, in what way is that going to show itself?
Mm. Absolutely.
I think it would be wonderful. So I guess the first place for people to start is to send us an email.
Yes.
Now, I need to remember this. We've got the world's longest email address.
Yeah.
So now, if I'm getting this right, it is a sanctuary for the soul
Yeah.
777
Yes.
at gmail.com.
Yeah.
A sanctuary for the soul
Mm.
777 liz@gmail.com.
Perfect.
And I think that's probably a good place to stop, yeah?
Mm.
Liz, thank you so much. And thank you to all of those people that listen to us. Thank you for your support. We have had a slight hiatus between the last episode and this one, but we hope you enjoy this and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Yes.
Bye for now.
Bye.